In today's video, I'm going to break down the exact requirements for accounting and auditing for your free zone company in Dubai as we step into 2024, and then the corporate tax requirements are starting to kick in. So it's important that you understand those requirements and stay compliant with corporate tax and other relevant laws. Hi, my name is 𝐥𝐤𝐤𝐞 and I'm the founder of Setup Hero, where we help entrepreneurs making 25K or more per month, help them relocate their business and personal residency to Dubai and eventually live a tax-free lifestyle. So if that's something that you need help with, go to setuphero.com/call and book a one-on-one call with me where we can assess what is your current situation and how we can potentially help move your business and your personal residency to Dubai and become tax-free. With that being said, let's get started with today's video, that is the accounting and auditing requirements in relation to the corporate tax that is being introduced in 2024. I would like to mention that this is a three-part series in relation to corporate tax, and then you can find the entire series in the link in the description below, that is setuphero.com/tax series. I encourage you to go there and watch all the three parts so that you understand corporate tax and the upcoming requirements, or how does that impact you and your business. It's a very good resource for you to understand what are the repercussions of the corporate tax and how do you manage that, do you address that, and what would be your action points. So in this part of the series, we will discuss the accounting and auditing side of it, starting with the requirements. So what are the requirements for getting the accounting and auditing done, and the requirements because of what or by who? So starting with it, the first requirement that has been in Dubai for almost from 2018, that was because of the VAT law. So the VAT was introduced in Dubai around 2018, and that required the companies to keep an accounting record so that they can say how much sales they have made and how much VAT they have paid or they can claim. So the VAT is like 5% on anything that you sell, mostly inside of Dubai. And then if you are doing an outside sale, let's say you sell in Europe, you sell in UK or Canada, the VAT is 0%, but you are still required to maintain an accounting record and then have your invoices as per the VAT law. And if you have sold something inside of Dubai, you pay the 5% VAT. So for the VAT requirements, the accounting requirement was already there. It was just that there was never a requirement for it to get audited. Apart from certain free zones, especially the high regulatory free zones such as DMCC, DIFC, ADGM, where you do need audited accounting reports for you to renew the license, there was not much of an auditing requirement so far, but from 2018 onwards, we do have to maintain the accounting books. Now, moving into 2024, we would need those same accounting books prepared. The only difference is that at the end of the year, you need to prepare a financial statement as well. Before, for the VAT, there was no requirement for the financial statement, but there was a requirement for like a ledger for sales made and purchases made and how much VAT was on both the sides. So now in 2024, you need to prepare the financial statement showing how much tax have you paid, how much income have you generated, how much is the profit left over, and then how much is the tax that you have paid on that. And depending on your income level, if you are making less than 3 million dirhams or $800,000, you can claim a small business relief, and that results in 0% corporate tax. And if you are making more than $800,000, then you will be paying 9% corporate tax on all your profits, not just the money made above $800,000 on all your profits. There is a $100,000 exemption, but above that, whatever profits are there, you will be paying a 9% corporate tax. So for that requirement, we do need financial statements. Now, as of today, there is no requirement for those to be audited, but you do need to prepare and keep accurate record with an accounting software and supporting documents for providing to the tax authority, that's FTA, if they ask for an audit. And these documents and the records should be accurate, because if there are discrepancies, you are faced with a good amount of fines that we have seen in VAT. Even though the VAT law is straightforward and it's the requirements for maintaining documentation and accounting and stuff, it's not a lot, but FTA is really sensitive if the accounting record has not been properly maintained or the VAT invoices have not been properly generated. So there is a specific pattern for the invoice, that's the tax invoice. Even if it's 0% tax, they want to see the invoicing in a particular format, And it's easy to maintain. There are now softwares that are completely locally compliant, so you don't even have to worry about the format. You just create the invoice, and then because it's a locally compliant approved, FTA approved software, it just generates the invoice in a compliant manner if you have set it up correctly. But again, we have seen a lot when you were non-compliant with VAT, there were fines, and so the same thing will carry on. Just have a good accounting hygiene, maintain proper records so that the FD has no problem in understanding your accounts, approving them, and potentially not inviting any fines. So the first requirement for the VAT, the second requirement is for the corporate tax. The third requirement for having those financial statements that we have recently seen is for the free zone as well. So historically, most of the free zones have not requested a financial statement, but because of the compliance being increased, now we have seen the free zones that we are working with have been increasingly requesting financial statements for the renewal of the license going into 2024. So that's a new trend that we are seeing with most of the free zones, that they would now need a financial statement. So that's the third entity that would need your financial statements. Again, so far there is no auditing requirement, but for the hygiene of the company financial accounts, I always recommend to get it done, the audit, because if you're making $1 million, the audit is hardly going to cost you $1,000 or $1,500, right? But that really strengthens the financial health and financial position of your company. Even if later down the road, someone asks you, can you prove the proof of funds and where it is coming from? These kinds of invoices and auditing and accounts, they really help you kind of come clean and make sure that your accounts, your business, everything remains intact. So it's a small investment, but it's a good investment for long term, especially when you're scaling, let's say $5 to $10 million and more. You can always get asked about the source of funds, the employees, the invoices, the revenue, and these things always be of help. So another part where you can see the financial statement requirement is bank. So if you have a big account, $5 million, $10 million, the banks also wants to see that you're maintaining proper financial hygiene, and then you're not just routing money from here to there without making any sense of it. So the bank wants to see, like, okay, you have recorded a $2 million revenue, you have paid $500,000 in salaries, you have paid $500,000 in marketing expenses. So the banks, and especially for larger accounts, for smaller companies, $200,000, $500,000, usually the banks does not ask you a lot. Of course, they want to ask on a transaction basis, hey, there's a payment has come in, can you show us the invoices for that? But the accounting statement, the financial statements, is especially when you're operating larger accounts. So sometimes bank would require that. So kind of that's where we summarize where these accounting statements will be required. And now I can give you advice on how to maintain that. So the first thing that you have to do is to get an accounting software that is locally compliant. There are a few softwares that you can search online that are quite approved by the FDA, the Federal Tax Authority, and the good part for getting those softwares is that you already kind of skip some of the compliance requirements because the software is taking care of that. Now, I know that clients coming from US or Canada, they want to probably continue on QuickBooks, or UK, the zero accounting software is quite popular. And from the law side, there's no requirement. You can use whatever software you are using, but it's always recommended to use a locally approved software. It just reduces the headache of compliance for you, for your accountant, and overall it's a good practice. So I would say invest in local accounting software. It's on an annual subscription that you would take. And now the question is, once you have the accounting software, there are a few things that needs to be done. First is the accounting entries. You need to prepare your monthly or quarterly accounts. Then you need to do your VAT filings, that would be done quarterly. And then you need to prepare the annual financial statements, potentially get them audited, and then submit those financial statements for corporate tax and pay any corporate tax that you have. So these are the few steps that you need to take to maintain that. You can break it down in a few ways. Either you can keep the accounting and the entry of the accounting by yourself or one of your employees, if any one of them has sustainable accounting knowledge. And then outsource the tax, the VAT filing, then the corporate tax filing, and the auditing and the financial statement to an outsourced consultant. That way you can kind of potentially reduce your cost of accounting operations. It's recommended if you're making between $100,000 to $200,000, because that can mean a potential saving in overall business expenses if you are at that level. But I highly recommend to invest in a good accounting outsourcing partner. and accounting software and a tax lawyer, and then as well as getting those books audited, because that really streamlines a lot of issues that can potentially come up from a VAT perspective, from a corporate tax perspective, that if you have a reliable, knowledgeable accounting partner and those things are taken care of. Most of my clients that I set up, we go for this route where we create an extensive package where all the things have been taken care of from the start, so that we know that we are doing everything by the book. Everything has been done as per the requirements of FTA, and it's not hurting your business. So especially, like as I said, if you're making $1, $2, or $5 million, just hire, either you hire a full-time accountant to take care of billing and salaries and stuff like that. If your business model does not require a full-time accountant, I would recommend just outsourcing everything. The cost is not as big as the revenues that would match that, but it does take care of most of the headaches for you. Now, I would like to advise you before I close the video that if you're planning to create a scalable business and kind of potentially selling your company in future, let's say in 2 years or 3 years from now, investing in a good accounting practice, accounting software, and then maintaining a good accounting hygiene and getting those books audited, that would be a very crucial investment at the time of exit and the valuation of the company that you can get. Because if you can prove to the potential investors that you have invested sufficient amount of time and you have onboarded necessary expertise to keep the accounting books in order, that creates trust with your investors or the potential acquisition buyer, that what you're presenting as your revenues, of your profit figures are accurate enough to put a valuation upon. So you need to kind of think about it, and if ever the selling of the company is on the plan, you should be getting it not just accounting done, but also the auditing side of it. So that is it for today's video. If you want to learn more about the corporate tax side and the accounting and the auditing and filing side of things, I would recommend that you go to setuphero.com/tax series, where we discuss most of these matters in detail so that you're prepared for your corporate tax compliances when you go into 2024. With that being said, if you want me and my team to help you move your business and personal tax residency to Dubai and live a tax-free lifestyle, then you can go to setuphero.com/call and book a one-on-one call with me, where we can look at your current situation and how we can potentially help you achieve the tax-free goals. So thank you for your time today, and I see you in the next video.